So before you get into this video, I just wanted to make this little introduction disclaimer. The topic that I'm going to get into is very heavy and emotional, and you can definitely see that when I'm recording. A lot of it was really hard for me to film. I actually had to edit out a lot of just taking breaks and kind of breathing myself through some of it. Of course, edited a lot of it out. I just needed to make this as kind of a precursor. I don't know who you are in relation to me or what you're going through in your life, but some of this might be hard for some of you to watch. So just a little, warning or trigger warning. Just be aware, I'm going through some emotional things that I haven't really, gone through in years. So just kind of reliving those emotions and feeling it is a lot. Just keep that in mind when you're watching this, and hopefully somebody can get something beneficial from the story. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, so I'm back, episode 3, The Key to Zen, and this episode is gonna be a bit difficult to get through, but I'm gonna do my best. Being in an abusive relationship, also going through a drug addiction at the same time. This may trigger some people. It's not easy. I'm gonna not give too much detail and just kind of get to the whole point of why I'm even talking about this and just why I need to kind of get this all off my chest. It's been roughly 3.5 years since I've made the decision to leave the town I grew up and start basically a new life in a new state. I'm in Texas now. You may have heard that from my last video, where I go into my near-death experience and kind of how that changed my life and changed my perspective of spirituality and who I am. So this next story time that I'm gonna get into is really the transitional time from getting out of the first relationship that I had after my near death, where my boyfriend kind of treated me as if I was an absolute princess. I actually broke his heart after just a few short months. We had a really intense love, and then it was just kind of died off, and I wasn't ready for that love at that time. So I ended up moving to Tucson, had come back, and had gotten clean off of spice, and I was no longer, I hadn't touched triple C's since that incident. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go check that out. It is a bit lengthy, but it does just give the whole background of how I started my journey. Yeah, check that out. That's on my channel. It was my last video. I do post Sundays, seems to be the day that I'm going to be posting now. I may change it up. I may post more. We'll see. I think I might start posting more soon now that I've gotten my 3 out of the way. Back to the transition. I had gotten off of spice. I, was staying with a friend of my family and a close friend of mine who I trusted. She helped me get back on my feet and got me a job, and I was set. And then dun, 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 dun. Of course, I'm doing good and I'm in a better place. So all of a sudden, the dude who I was just absolutely in love with all through middle school and, into high school. I'm out of high school at this point. I was 21, something like that when I met him, or when I re-met him. So, I run into him. We decide to hang out. In a couple months, we're dating against my better judgment, mind you. Now, I was so caught in the moment of, oh my God, he likes me, he's giving me attention and all this stuff, when he couldn't give a crap about me years before this. But now it's all different. I'm just eating this up and ignoring all of the red flags. I mean, I had heard that he had hit his previous girlfriends. I'd heard that he cheated on his previous girlfriends, and he seems kind of too good to be true in a way. We have an intense relationship from the beginning, and just a lack of trust on my end, but still in the same tone, not really understanding what I was getting myself into at all. So going forward from there, we were introduced to meth. We are now using it, a couple times a week. Going forward, we start using it multiple times a week. Then it goes to every day, once a day, and then more times in the day. Things start kind of getting really out of hand at this point. Once we are in the heat of a drug addiction, a lot happened in a really short period of time. A lot of really fucked up shit that I honestly don't even really need to get into the details, just because there's some things that just don't need to be brought out like that. I'm gonna try to keep this as not heavy as possible, but still getting the point that I wanted to get across by even going here. So I'm in a place in this relationship where we meet a new group of people, and I'm introduced to the woman, the little girl, let me say, that will be sleeping with my boyfriend. And it was all done so in my face and just so disrespectfully and obviously. And when I tell you, like, the person that I am does not fit in that situation. And I was so consumed with my ego and the pride of having somebody take that away from me, that throughout all of this shit that I was going through, that I was putting myself through for this man, I blamed it on him. I put everything on him. Everything was his fault. I was trying to keep up with him. I was trying to stay skinny for him. And I was trying to chase him. I didn't sleep for days because I was going crazy. And I was just the most disrespectful shit you could possibly do. I mean, I will give just one small example, just of the kind of mental abuse. So I would wear his shirt sometimes, and I wore this shirt. I came home to the house that I paid for, and he saw that I was wearing his shirt and decided to, while my friend actually was standing outside, close the door and just start wailing on my face. So I get a bloody nose and I'm bleeding on this shirt. So that's just that night, I go to the house of the girl that he was cheating on me with, and I see like a little 16-year-old girl wearing the shirt that he beat the shit out of me for. And that was the biggest fucking slap in the face. I started losing my fucking mind. When I tell you that I was losing my mind, like, I mean that in the most serious way. Like, just, I was mentally, physically deteriorating and allowing the toxicity of the environment that I was in to seep into me and just take me over. And it was so bad. It was just like, it was just so much for a person to take from another person. It was in my head, all of the people that I was, fighting for him with, basically, I had endured so much from this person, and physically and mentally, to see him give that love and affection so willingly to other people and another woman or person or whoever, it was so beyond him at that point. It was like fighting for my dignity. I was fighting for that, like, I came in this with him and I'm gonna leave with him. I'm not leaving him in this shit that we got into together. But what I failed to take from the situation and realize soon enough, or earlier on, was that he did not have the same values at all. He was actually going the complete opposite direction, and I was just chasing him blindly. I mean, the gaslighting, the turning things on me because he couldn't face because he knew he'd fucked up. And when you fuck up, or when you're a cheater, you are going to immediately accuse the person that you're with of cheating, because you have killed all trust. You didn't just kill the trust between your partner and you. You killed the trust. You now know that there is no actual foundation, so you don't have any trust. There's no trust to be had in this situation. I was fighting a war that I could not win. I wanted to run the streets. I wanted to take that whole thing over because in my heart, I knew that I was better than it. And instead of realizing that I was better than that situation to try to take it over, I didn't take a step back and be like, what? Like, you don't need to be here. I had friends, I had people who actually cared about me telling me, you don't have the heart for this shit. Like, get out of this. You do not need to be here. And I'm like, no, man, fuck that. I'm gonna go out. Like, this is it. I'm supposed to be here running the streets. I'm not, I'm not gonna live a regular life anymore. Like, this is just it. God, I was so fucking stupid. Like, I got chewed up and spit out by an environment that I wanted so hard to be a part of and I thought was so cool just because it was so different than my family. And like, I just saw the freedom and just the lack of caring. Nobody had any responsibilities. We had nobody to answer to. Nobody knew where I was. Like, I could go off the grid if I wanted to. Like, it was the sense of being so free and detached after living such a sheltered life. It felt like this is where I have to be. Like, I cannot just settle down and be normal. While I still have that mentality, I've definitely been able to now focus on important things and put that energy towards things that are actually going to be now benefiting my life. Getting through an abusive relationship is really hard. Not only physically, it's actually, in my opinion, the mental abuse was so much worse than the physical abuse. I was so blindsided by the physical abuse that I honestly was in denial about it for months. Like, it took months for me to even consider him an abusive partner towards me, even after he had put his hands on me several times. Like, it started with just pushing and shoving and not caring if I'm like flying into the shower or, he's physically throwing me. Basically, he's 6'4". I am 5 feet tall. This man was taking full advantage of the situation physically because he knew he could. It got to the point where I wasn't fighting back. I wasn't defending myself. And I had gotten fed up after about 3 or 4 months of just kind of at a certain point antagonizing the physical violence because I didn't want the emotional mental abuse anymore. And then after like the few months, I snapped. I was using heavily at the time. So the emotions and the heat was tenfold. And the breakdowns were just, explosive. I'm at the point now, a few months in, of being, completely just thrown around without fighting back, defending myself at all. I decided to start fighting back and defending myself. So I have a grown man in my face screaming at me. I'm gonna get more in his face and I'm gonna tell him, fucking kill me, bitch. It just escalates. We are fighting like men at this point. I am just throwing until I am hitting him, and I am going at him until I cannot physically fight him back anymore. It was terrible. People who have not been in an abusive relationship really like to throw kind of passive shade or make someone feel less than for staying in a situation like that. And what people really don't understand, especially if you haven't been in an abusive relationship, is how hard the other person makes it to get away from them. It's not as easy as we break up and now that person leaves me alone and I don't see him anymore and it just disappears and there's no more issue. That is absolutely the opposite of the truth. So when you're dating an abusive person who is, mentally manipulative, physically abusive, and just gaslighting every situation, which is, if you don't know what gaslighting is when, you have done no wrong, or your partner is accusing you of doing things or being a certain way, and it's really them projecting their problems onto you. They're not letting you speak. They're not letting you get your opinion out there. They're just they're just shooting you with these fucking accusations and, you know, name calling and just throwing all the blame on you so that you start questioning your sanity and who you are as a person because you love this person. So you don't understand why they're doing this to you unless it could be true. Like, so it might be true. And then you start getting these stupid, twisted fucking like ideas in your head. Dude had me really like, am I sleep fucking people? Like, am I just waking up in the middle of the night and go fucking dudes and he's just got it like proof, like video footage somewhere that I can see? No, but that's how he's acting. He's acting like I went out and made pornos while we were together. Like, bro, I'm questioning my sanity here. Like, you're fucking bitches. Like, you're not just fucking a bitch. You're fucking bitches and dudes. Like, what? Doing crack? What? I want you to know, especially if you have never been in an abusive relationship, or if you know someone who's in an abusive relationship and you're one of these people who's like, bitch, get the fuck out. What are you doing? You dumb bitch. You're a dumb bitch. How could you do that? You got no respect for yourself. Help your friend. Don't make them feel, him or her, feel any less for continuing to stay in an abusive relationship. The other person could be threatening their life, could be following them. Manipulative people, narcissistic people, they give themselves the upper hand on people who don't do that shit. I'm not the type of person to snoop. I don't look in your phone. I don't give a fuck. If you want to be with me, you're going to be with me and you're going to give me that. And it got to the point where I was so concerned with just having him. Like, it was just as bad as him, you know, I just needed him as the possession. He was hot and he blah, blah, blah. But honestly, the hottest person over those 2 years became the most hideous inside and out human being that I have ever fucking seen in my entire life. Disgusting. Like, I couldn't even look at him and feel any kind of a like towards him. One of the turning points was talking to my mother. This was a few months to a year before I even made the decision to leave. But I was talking to my mom, and shout out to you, Mom, I fucking love you. She was talking to me, she knew I was fucked up, obviously. I'm not, like, I can't really lie like that, so, and my mom is gonna know these things, like, so I talked to my mom, and she's like, I don't know what's going on, Key, but you have always been you. You have always been true to the person that you are. And so hearing her say that she didn't know who I was at that point and didn't feel like she was talking to me, she didn't feel like I was the same person anymore. Like, that was number one. I'm still a naive child. I'm still rebelling against my parents. Oh my God, I can't believe I got teary-eyed, bro. I cry about everything. I'm so emotional. So, that out of the way. I love you, Mom. That was the first, kind of like, maybe I'm not in the best situation, but that didn't really hit me until later. So I'm staying in disgusting apartments or places, houses, living with people. I live out of my car that doesn't even run at this point. I just get around on my skateboard. And I was selling a little bit just to keep myself alive, basically, at that point. I was a terrible drug dealer. I just didn't have the heart or the hustle for that life. And I thought, just killed myself thinking that was it. So I'm living house to house, living basically on the one street. I'm just living on anyone who will let me stay on this street in my hometown. And I remember trying so hard to get away from him, and everywhere I went he found me. No matter where I was, no matter if somebody said he wasn't allowed there, he found me. Oh, look at the puppy. So talking to my mom and then staying in all these houses, I'm at the this is like towards the end after the peak of the abuse had happened at that point. there was a lot of really uncomfortable stories that I may get into later, you know, as certain topics arise or as other people feel like they want more of, you know, more of those details. You know, I'm trying to, you know, the last like month or so, I'm kind of realizing that I don't have a leg in this race, and that I really don't have any business in my town that I'm living in. I had no family there, so I had no family in that state at all, and no real homies anymore, because I'd really burnt a lot of bridges at that point, being an addict and being in a really abusive relationship. My closest friends actually basically just cut me off, and that was a real turning point in mine and my high school best friend's relationship. Was me being in that abusive relationship. And one time that really stands out to me with her, that like really hit home, was seeing her in a gas station in the middle of the night, or just, you know, in the evening. And I'm fucking busted up on my face. And she hadn't seen me or talked to me in a while, but she knew exactly what happened. And the only thing she says to me is, "I don't feel sorry for you." And that is, honestly, that is to this day just like one of my best friends. And hearing that, like, I knew I wasn't a victim. Until you're in that situation, you really don't know what it is like, and you don't know how hard it is to just separate yourself from that person. At that point, I wanted to quit meth so many times, and I just had it in my head that I had to use to keep up with him. I had to use to stay skinny for him, like I was saying. Realizing later that I was losing myself in the whole thing. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing anymore. I lost the core of who I was, being around people that are doing things that are just, I can't fathom even the thought of someone doing that. And these are my friends doing this. These are people that I hang out with on a daily basis. And just as the veil got unlifted and I saw behind the curtain of so much of the bad shit, this is now downhill from the peak. And everything is coming to light. Friends are telling me who they really are, showing me their true colors, letting me know that they really had no care for me the entire time that I was going through any of this. And it was really eye-opening. And I was sitting outside my friend's house, sitting on my skateboard, and it was pouring down rain. I remember sitting outside my friend's house, you know, hoping he would come out and smoke a cigarette and want to talk in the middle of this rainstorm. And of course that didn't happen, but lo and behold, here comes Mr. Man running down the street, chasing me down. And that was the last thing I remember before making the decision that I needed to leave that. That was when I started getting hopeful, but at the same time felt like I still had things to get out of my system. I didn't know if I was ready, because I knew that leaving meant going back to live with my parents. That was pretty much the only option that I had, and I had to leave the state. So I had to drive myself and my puppy halfway across the country, coming down off of a 2-year meth binge. And that was the beginning of my life. And making the decision to leave saved my life. And it took more than people telling me I need to quit. It took more than, you know, my mom. It took more than being beat the fuck up every day by a dude who hated me and was absolutely disgusted with who I am. And I didn't let it kill me. That's the thing. It got me down. It beat me down to the point where I didn't know if I could recover. But getting cut off by my real friends, and, you know, realizing that my family is always going to be there for me no matter what I've done in my life, just wanting to show my little sisters that you do not ever deserve or need to be in that situation.
and there's always a way out, and just love yourself enough to get yourself out. Do not be a victim, because if you're a victim in your situation, then you're just going to continue to let it break you down. The sooner you face the fact that you are responsible for the situation that you're in, no, you did not volunteer to be with somebody who abuses you, but if you're still in that relationship, you have continued to let that person back in your life after they've given you this disrespect, the highest form of disrespect. And by getting back with them, you're showing them that that's okay, that it's okay to treat you like that. And that's the problem that so many of us make in abusive relationships. We think that we can save that person, but typically these people come from really abusive life situations, and they're battered and to the point of no return, in the sense that they will have to figure that life out on their own, but they're going to continue to drag you around until you show them that that's not acceptable. And yes, some people can change. I learned a lot about my ex after all of the abuse happened that made the story make a lot more sense. When someone comes from an extreme case of abuse, it will either make them or break them. It will either make them a really good person and aware, or it will completely shut them down and make them exactly like their abuser. This was one of the situations where I thought I could save him. I thought I was gonna, be the one that he wanted to change for, because we would have these conversations. And this happens so much. You'll have a one-on-one and talk with them and get through these breakthroughs, and you feel like they're changed and they know and they understand and they're gonna be better. And then a week, 2 days later, the same shit happens, or it's 10 times worse than it was before, or you find out that they're lying and they've, been lying and cheating this whole time, and then it just is the worst. Once you have figured out and assessed that you are in an abusive relationship, in a relationship that does not reciprocate the love that you're giving, that's when you need to start making the mental notes and realizing that the only way that you could change your life or change the outcome of the situation is by you getting yourself out of it. You cannot allow this person to continue to treat you that way and expect different results. Because once you allow them, once they hit you, once they call you out of your name in any way, once, they show that sign of blatant disrespect, it's all downhill from there. And as hard as that is to hear, it's the truth. And of course, there are some situations that are exceptions. However, in most cases, it's a pattern. And the only way to protect yourself is to come to these realizations, love and appreciate the person that you are, and understand that you will be just fine without them, and do whatever you need to do or can do to get yourself out. If you need to reach out, make sure that you're serious, because if you continue to reach out and cry wolf, then then people are gonna stop having that faith or stop trusting you. So that was what happened with me. I had abused my trust with so many people that at the point of the end, I had to get myself out, because I had told several people, I had said many times, I'm leaving him, I'm done. After the last couple times where things were just getting worse and worse, I continued to get back with him, which separated me from my friends. And that was a very pivotal moment. As hard as it is to cut someone out of your life that's in a really hard situation, that might be the cutoff that they need to make that realization. If somebody really cares about you and loves you as a friend, and you can't be their friend, even if it takes a couple years, you cutting off that friendship might actually save that person. You never really know. And it's kind of sucks, but I firmly agree that tough love is the best in this situation. And sometimes you have to cut your friends off to teach them something. Sometimes you need, by continuing to be around for situations that are hurting someone, you're in a way enabling them and telling them that this behavior is okay. And that's really just not the case. So if you can take anything from this video, this very emotional, fucking long ass video, I would say just give people who are going through it a break, but at the same time, don't enable them. Make sure that you're not judging, because you never know what somebody is going through. People a lot of times don't like to talk about the fact that they're getting abused because they don't want people to look at their partner differently. I actually got that thrown in my face a lot by my ex, because I told people that he put his hands on me, which actually just made me look stupid because I kept getting back with him. This is my story. I want to hear about your stories. I want to hear about, if you're in it right now, if you're somebody who needs help and you don't know what to do, if you feel like you need to reach out, I will answer you and I will talk to you. I will do whatever I can do to walk you through, or give you the guidance that you may need, or say something that you might need to hear, to just unlock something in your consciousness that maybe will help you get out of the situation. I feel like there's so much more that I could talk about on this topic. I may just have to make another video, because again, I'm talking way too long. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna hopefully get more organized soon. So for my next video, I'm gonna try something out, see if I get any suggestions on social media. I'm gonna try maybe like a poll post, or just posting on my Facebook. I was thinking about starting a Facebook group too, just so we can all engage on there. Please comment with any ideas or suggestions, anything that you guys would like to see. I'm definitely open to that. Now that I've gotten a chance to tell my story, I want to be able to pinpoint things and really start helping people and really communicating and talking and expanding my audience. If anybody out there is wanting to contribute to this channel in any kind of way, like helping me out with editing, things that I don't really know too much about, that would help me grow. I would be super into that. If you want to DM me or check me out on Insta, keep a lookout for my Facebook group, potentially. And of course, if you vibe, subscribe and hit that bell so you can be notified. I'll see you guys next week.